My family has relied on MI6 twice. I won't make that mistake a third time." With that, she opened the office door and left the building. Bond followed her outside to a jeep, where Gabor was holding the passenger door open for her. She turned and said, "Mr. Bond, I'm going to finish building this pipeline, for my father and for myself." She got in the jeep and looked at a clipboard that was on the dash. "And I don't need your help. I hope you have a pleasant flight home." But Bond had already slipped into the driver's seat. He reached over her lap and pulled the passenger door shut, leaving a befuddled Gabor standing outside the vehicle. Elektra looked at Bond, speechless. "I thought I might visit Rouen on my way home," Bond said. "Buckle up. It's safer that way." The jeep took off before Elektra King could say a word. They drove through the oil fields, a blighted, petrified forest of iron. Elektra gave the directions, but otherwise didn't say much. Attempting to break the ice, Bond commented, "I see we've taken the scenic route." Slightly insulted, she asked, "Do you know what you're looking at? There was a time when this was the most coveted spot on Earth." Bond nodded. "Yes, I know. The oil fields here were discovered at the end of the last century. The Soviets seized them in 1919. Hitler wanted them. Stalin and Khrushchev used them to fuel the Cold War." She was impressed. "I see you've done your homework, but your treatise lacks passion." Bond waited for her to explain. "It was my mother's people who discovered this oil," she said. "The Bolsheviks slaughtered them for it, and when the Soviet Union fell, this was the legacy they left us. Some say the oil is in my family's blood. I say our blood is in the oil." It wasn't long before they heard the sound of a helicopter above them. Bond looked up and saw a Eurocopter Dauphin with the King Industries logo on it. She said, "It's Gabor and Sasha. I'm sure they just want to keep tabs on me." The jeep passed from the derricks into a rock-strewn terrain. It was a moonscape not unlike the rocky deserts of Arizona in the United States, but with Stonehenge-like formations jutting out of the ground. They soon began to pass signs of civilization. Among groupings of curious, three-headed fairy chimneys was a row of souvenir stalls. Soon they were in the village of Rouen itself, which had once been a monastic retreat. The most striking points of interest, Bond noted, were the various churches and primitive cliff dwellings. Elektra explained that archaeologists had discovered cave paintings and other ancient artifacts in them. "It's all prehistory here. Noah's Ark supposedly wound up on one of the mountains not far away," she said. They came to a break in the pipe along the road where King Industries had set up a survey camp. The jeep appeared to have arrived just in time, for the survey crew were cowering behind a four-wheel drive as men threw stones at them from a village carved into the rock. The people were shouting, ready to come out and storm the camp. Before Bond could stop her, Elektra got out of the vehicle and moved to the crowd. The stoning suddenly ceased when the villagers saw her. They knew who she was. Bond watched protectively as she took a few of the leaders aside and spoke quietly to them in their tongue. After a moment, the crowd parted, making way for an Orthodox priest who motioned to her. "Come." She nodded and followed him through the crowd of tribesmen to a stunning Byzantine chapel hewn into the rock. Flames illuminated the mosaics and paintings on the walls. Bond stayed in the shadows, allowing Elektra to handle the situation. She was obviously quite capable of being an arbitrator. As she quietly talked with the priest, Bond stepped out and looked around. He noticed that Davidov's helicopter had landed nearby and that he and the bodyguard were walking up to the chapel. Why did he feel so edgy? It was an all-too-familiar feeling, and Bond was experienced enough to know that in this regard his sixth sense was rarely wrong. Someone was definitely watching them. Davidov and Gabor were scanning the area too. "You had a good vantage point up there. See anything?" Bond asked. Davidov shook his head. "No, I think we're all right." He shook his head in admiration. "She certainly has a way with the people, much more so than her father ever had." "How well did Elektra get along with her father?" "They fought all the time." "Really? Let's just say that they disagreed on business issues." "Was Sir Robert well liked in the company?" Bond asked. "No one had any problems with him as far as I know. I've been with the company for 7 years. He was a good employer and had innovative ideas. I think the only one who ever argued with him was his daughter." "What's the general feeling in the company about the change in management?" Everyone loves Miss King. You've seen for yourself how she deals with people.